Hello, this is probably going to be the crappiest video that I've ever done, but a long time ago, probably coming up to a year ago now, I said that I'd share what did I say? I said that I'd share the symptoms of the FND. Thank God for essential oils, because seriously, the old PTSD and FND is giving me the runaround this morning. So the first set of symptoms are mostly autonomic, and I'm going to go there because that's like the main part of the central nervous system. So I'm going to try and put the symptoms in this video and then post it. So autonomic symptoms you can get. So the biggest one, not everyone experiences, but some people experience very severely, are non-epileptic seizures. I've had two, one major one, but I have friends who have them regularly. Blackouts, I've had those, not for a while, not since I've been at CHT. Fainting, again, that kind of comes under the blackouts thing. Bladder and bowel retention or loss of control. So I've experienced bladder retention when I was first admitted to Nightingale. Just suddenly, because of the anxiety and stress in my system, couldn't go to the toilet. Horrible. Cognitive issues, you've seen those already in this video, where I just literally can't access words. So brain fog, unable to find words I'm reading, so that otherwise I'd be completely lost. Feeling like your brain is going offline, that was one of the most scary ones that I ever experienced when my nervous system completely collapsed. I just completely lost the ability to form any coherent, like any thoughts. It was just like my brain went offline and there was nothing there. Awful. Migraines on headaches and chronic fatigue. Now, chronic fatigue is part of FND, but in my case, I have chronic fatigue syndrome as well as the FND. I got the chronic fatigue syndrome first, we think, although there were signs of FND at the time that weren't picked up on, like my arms and legs just going completely unable to move them, paralysed. Anyway, so that leads me on to motor symptoms. So abnormal gait. So I have at times experienced one leg flying up in the air, my gait being kind of wide. It's very difficult to explain. Paralysis or partial paralysis. Now I've experienced paralysis from the waist downwards, and as I just said, I've also experienced paralysis where my arms and legs felt like lead and I just couldn't move them at all. Loss of or slurred speech. I get that fairly regularly if I'm having an FND attack. Just all of a sudden my speech goes like this and I look like I've had a stroke. Jerks, spasms, dystonia, shaking. So I often get jerks and I don't want to induce it, but often it will start where it's generally on the right hand side of my body. So I get twitching like that. Sometimes my eyes flicker, and that relates to the trauma as well, but it's also a symptom of FND. Trauma and FND and CFS very much overlap, as do other chronic conditions like fibromyalgia, POTS. I also have SVT, which came on at the same time in May 2024. where did I get to? Okay, yeah. And then limb heaviness and floating feeling. That's something that I've had a lot, and it is bizarre and horrible. So I talked about when your limbs feel like lead. I also had it when I feel like they're almost detached from my body, floating. It's very weird, very disconcerting. And I think the most paradoxical thing about FND is that the symptoms feel so severe, and that increases anxiety. And as the anxiety increases and the nervous system becomes more charged, you go more into your sympathetic nervous system, the worse the symptoms get. So the real key to recovery and dampening those symptoms is to find to not panic, to find some regulation. So I have lots of different tools, but I don't want to get onto that because I could easily be sidetracked right now because my brain it's not complete treacle, but I'm also I could get sidetracked. Okay, so sensory symptoms, and they kind of relate to the motor symptoms. They all kind of overlap. Yeah, so, oh my god, sorry, excuse me. So, sensory symptoms. So, abnormal abnormal sensations across the body. So, feelings of coldness, heat, or tingling. Tingling I've had in my extremities. The coldness, I can just when I was very unwell, I'd get it all across my face or down my legs. I don't so much get the heat. Blurred vision I've had, and it can almost look like there's a cloud in front of you, you know, when there's like a heat wave and you're looking into the sun and everything looks quite blurry. Get that? Tinnitus or deafness. I quite often get tinnitus. I haven't had deafness and I haven't had blindness, but that can happen. Sorry. Not permanently. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. And then, so obviously, all of those symptoms, many of the people that I know with FND have got a trauma history. The two really, really do overlap. That's not the only cause though. So, prolonged stress, which in my case, prolonged stress and PTSD were the triggers. Physical illness or injury. I already had CFS, and I think I probably did have a touch of FND when I developed the SVT and chronic fatigue syndrome, ME. Injury. So, like a virus, and that's common to ME, CFS as well. That can often be triggered by a virus. There's conversation and research ongoing about COVID and long COVID and how that can link in. I was pregnant when I got COVID, and that certainly took a long time for my body to recover, but I can't say that they are directly linked. And then pre-existing neurological conditions, none of which I had, and sometimes nothing at all. Sometimes in unlucky cases, it just happens. So I'm going to show you a little screenshot of the notes that I made when I was at Nightingale. Again, I apologise for this being a really crap video and my brain fog. And then I'm going to try and put the symptoms to the video if I've got the capacity today. So there we go.